So, for anyone who doesn't know, I'm Sean Battle, um, producer, musician. Uh, yeah, I do a lot of drums and stuff, but I also write. Um, I've written a novel. Um, let's see if I can actually bring this up here real quick. Probably should have got this before I. You know what I can do? Let me go ahead and I can play this and mute it. So.
Where'd we go?
Yeah, I voice acted. I did the. Okay, pause it right up there. So this is UNEA. All the continents that you see here. Let me get out of the way. This is UNEA. You got the inland sea there, where all the fresh water starts in this area, and it goes down and trickles out to the down there to the boundless depths, the bygone sea down there, the Phazon's Ocean, and then to the north the what was it, endless? I don't remember. I've got it. I have to pull the map up and stuff. But yeah, the boundless depths are to the south. Went is a continent over to there. Birrell is over there on the right. Down the lower left is Went, and up in the upper left, that's Far Shore. And then there's Crete, of course, down there. Um, but I'll see if I can show you a little bit more here. This is the Northic region where the Northic folk, pretty hard line, pretty religious type people. This is the Drala Valley. Um, this is the Marlprin Mountains. This is the Tulakmimna, the Hollow Mountain. Um, this is where the cave, the mountains collapsed from overmining, and then they moved. The dwarves moved to Bethril Mountains. They weren't called that originally, but when they won them in the war, they named them the Bethril Mountains. So this was actually the Tulakmimna is part of the Butriel Mountains. They go all the way up into. They'd already emptied out. There's another mountain chain up here, and they'd already emptied that out, and no problems. And they moved to start working on this mountain chain when it collapsed in the hollow, and yeah. But Butriel is the meaning in Dwarvish is very close to the Northic word Bethrin. Butriel, Butriel is home within the mountain. Bethrin is home amongst the mountain, because the Northic people kind of moved into the area where, see if we can get it, I don't know if it'll zoom in, but that's why I wanted to have the map. But, so as the Northic people moved into where the dwarves used to be, because it's pretty well set up. Although they didn't live in the hills, they put their backs to the hill and put their homes kind of against the hill, and in fact the dwarves refer to them as surface, like surface dwellers. You know what I mean? Because they consider mining, how deep they go, and these guys are like, dude, you have no idea how deep we go into these mountains, you know. So you guys are very much, you're just scratching the surface. You live in the fucking outskirts of the crust. But there was some passing of culture back and forth between the two to make the Northic men and women, and then the Dwarvish people that are moved to Bethrin. They needed a home for the new place. They didn't want to call it Bethrin. The Butriel again. So they called it Bethrin, which is basically the same thing, home amongst the. But down here is Wrestling. This is where the story takes place, right here in Morrington. Actually, I can let it play and show you. Okay, starts going down. It should go down to the north. Oh, this is part 2, isn't it? Yeah, this is part 2. So no, that's going to be showing the Mournful Mountains with the. Yeah. So I drew the map. I was starting to tell the story. I had like all the locations. I had names of the locations and stuff, and had ideas of what they're going to do. The two main characters were going to do, but I didn't. And I was like starting to talk like they're headed west. I'm like, well, where? You know what I mean? Where is that? You know what I mean? How can I say how far it was and whatever? I don't know. And I had to draw. So I went ahead and drew a map, and then I put that into Photoshop, and then I put all the place markers here. The reason those are called maws is because, like, the Nile River, it's about twice, maybe 3 times as wide. There was a big disaster between the first and second era that caused the rivers to split into the maws. A really powerful mage named Crystarian. It's actually the first story that I ever came up with back when I was trying to play D&D with my brother. He told me to run through the thing and that we would play, once I got a character rolled, that we'd play D&D. And so I rolled a character, and I had like a good character drawn up. That's where I learned the difference between the robber and the thief, because there was like, the 3 classes, like fighter, cleric, thief, whatever you want to do. I was, of course, going to go for fighter. And I was like, why in the hell why would anybody want to be a thief? And then I found out that it's not about stealing. It's about being, crafty. A thief is just, yeah, do they burgle? That's a burglar, you know what I mean? But thieving is a different art. Lock picking, scaling this side of it. You know what I mean? It's more delicate. And I don't think that anybody so far, there's Argus, the biggest settlement. Look how big that is. Crosses the maw. It's over 60 miles wide. So, yeah, that's the Whimpering Maw is there, the end of the Tamed Maw. It's so wide, and there's so much traffic going to and from Argus that there's 2 lanes. There's 2 lanes. And what happened is it churned up so much dirt over the years that it's settled in the middle, making a channel. So there's like just below the water surface, right in the middle. It makes like two big 30-mile rivers, one going towards the inland sea, one coming from the inland sea. Because the inland sea wants to pour out, and all these people are going this way, the other way against it, and it causes another current. And so once it gets here, they just let the current just kind of pull back. So, yeah. God, I think it's really popping in my back. It hurts really bad, but it's getting there. So the part 1 is where I should have started, but yeah, it follows 2 druggies. It goes so fast. Yeah, we start out here in Warrington. And then it's kind of eventually they go to, they make their way from Warrington to Argus, and it means it's all around places. And you get to follow along with the story. It's even chapterized. See, it's got Warrington. It's got My Adventures Begin, Leaving Warrington, the Thieves Guild, The Void, Follow the Leader. I try to make them about 10-minute chapters. Back by Dark, New Argus. The book doesn't actually have that, nor does the audio. But I put those in there for this because it has the ability to break it up. I want mine to be just part 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There's a reason for it. And it's because parts 1, you can read part 1. If you don't like to read a whole lot, you can read part 1 and 5 together, and you get the whole basic story of the robber and the thief. If anyone's going to write Cliff Notes in my story, it's going to be me. And then if you like what you read and you want to learn more, you just unfold it, and you don't really lose anything. And it's kind of like a map, touching together. Parts 1 and, there's 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5. 1 and 5 touch together. And you can get the whole story. It doesn't ruin anything. And then you spread it open if you want to learn more. And there's 2, 3, 4, and 5 to get some more story of how they got from part 1 to part 5. But yeah, it makes a good short story. It makes a good novel, I believe. It's in audio format. It's PDF format. I think the audio is the most Impressive. What the hell? There's my cursor. Okay, sorry. I've got two monitors. I can't ever tell which one's on which screen. Sometimes I can't ever tell. Sometimes. No, 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 no. Okay, this is just going to be the subject. Robber and the Thief. So, as far as UNEA goes, this is the intro to Robber and the Thief. There are four core UNEA tales: the Robber and the Thief, the Underwoods. Um, Keep Christarian, which is the one I was talking about. It tells Christarian's story. Um, when I rolled my character, my brother didn't play. I figured he may wanted to been, playing, not being dungeon master, and he didn't want to be. So I figured I'd make a dungeon, 'Cause I'd played through the walk through the Choose Your Own Adventure, and I'd read Choose Your Own Adventures before, so I know how to add in options, like that. Because that was my favorite Choose Your Own Adventure novel. I mean, those little short books, love them. And so the Keep Christarian was originally a campaign to do. I was going to be the dungeon master, but he never played. So I just worked on it and worked on the idea, and it was always in the background of my head from 14. And so I just developed, and through school I wrote some other stories that were in that fantasy genre. New Beginning, and then the original story of Shinamazine, which was very, very generic, very lame. I was in middle school, maybe in high school, like freshman year, and I wrote it. It's just very, very, like, the character had no flaws. It was boring. It was a boring story. But the good thing is, from that, as time went on, all the different stories. There's another story I wrote about the future and stuff like that, and they all go together. I just had to slap a universe to put them in. A non-Earth universe that doesn't bump up against our history, like, it can't happen because this happened and that. I don't want to hear any of that shit, you know? So, um, yeah, I put Uni on the title there, and then suddenly the third millennium that I wrote before, like way back, I mean, that suddenly totally viable because I get in the future of, UNEA, because I already had plans for UNEA to. It's already went from the zero era. It transitions into the first era, not through conflict or whatever, but through the first writing of the first word of Unaic. Because before that, there were like the dwarves, the elves, all these different races were around, and they didn't come up with like a common language. So communication was difficult, and keeping records was always very biased based on, if you read the elves account, if you read the orcs account, who's the bad guy? So they came to decide that they needed to come with a universal language, which they considered Unaic, which was the human's language. It was the simplest to learn, like the BAUL, the ball. They're lizard people, so they have a forked tongue. How the fuck are you gonna replicate that? Other ones are very like glottal, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. So it was just now as such, the humans believe that they're Unaic, proto-Unaic, very early Unaic was the um, language, and some of them stick with it. Other ones, they understand that there's other. They don't have a word for mating season in in Vorgan's bog. So whatever they call it is what they call it. No, that's not a Unaic word. Like, it doesn't matter if what it is now, And some people do, and some people don't. Just like now, it's just choice. How hard-headed do you want to be, resistant to change? It's coming, whether you like it or not. And by the fact that they're all talking the same language, they're going to start going to be talking together and be hanging out and stuff, whether you like it or not. Um, so they have an early conference back then, to discuss between the different races. Once they get a good common language, everybody's got it down, to discuss God. And there's all these different beliefs about the universe and how we got here and yada yada yada, you know. So they can't decide on anything for certain, you know, because no one has any real clues, and no one really knows. Just like now, no one really knows, and they decide just to stop like any wars or anything like that. That we're created, we're here, we exist. This is tangible and it's real. We're here. We agree on that. Like, yeah, okay. Something created us. Okay, even if it was something created you guys and something created us, then what created both those things that created, you know what I mean, that created us? So something created everything, right? Okay, you guys believe it's the universe. Great. Something created, we're here. Okay, we were made. So we have a maker. Okay? That we were made. So something made us. My belief is that has a consciousness. Your belief is that it does not. I can settle with just calling him the maker. And, you know what I mean? Rather than get to like, his name is, And Muslims are like, I mean, they just agree, like, yeah. You can believe whatever you want to. Just don't bring it out, I mean, that's you. That's your stuff. Either you believe the universe, the oneness of the universe made us all and has no consciousness. Or you believe that the universe made us all and it has a consciousness and can think. And these aren't random events, these are purposeful happenings. Either way, it's just the universe making us. At random, why argue over that? Whether it's on purpose, is it on purpose? Who knows? It's not, I mean, I'm not saying that he can't answer, but he's currently not answering. I'd love to, man, I can't wait. I believe he will. Matter of fact, I believe it so much that when I wrote my book, most fantasy novels don't give God any credit. And I'm not talking about Jesus, that's his son. Without us fucking up, there's no need for Jesus to do what he did, is there? He's just following orders. God said so. Without me, there is no salvation. You want to know why? God cannot die. The closest thing he can do is manifest some skin for you to crucify. If God were to die at any point in time, the entire universe would cease to be. What good is forgiveness then? You think there's an inheritance when he dies? There's no inheritance. Before me there was nothing. After me, be nothing. How does he know? He's been to both sides. So that means that this is a playthrough. We've been here. We've done this. Right? We've done this before. I thought about that this morning. The Bible's actually the first time travel novel. I didn't say a fiction. A story can be a novel that's based on a true story, right? So therefore the prophet's getting everything right and what they said at this moment and stuff. It's kind of like going to see a movie, a biopic. Now, it didn't really happen like that. These people weren't actually in the room, but something happened. To the events. Some events happened with the guys, and then the doors decided to go this direction. Did he whip out his dick on stage? I don't. You know what I mean? He says he just. I don't know. He's just crazy enough to. But I mean, I don't know. They don't really answer that, do they? I mean, I think they do, but it's still that's biased on. The culprit just harassing the man, Maybe he did. Maybe he did whip out his dick. They were right to arrest him. That's public indecency. You just don't do. You don't do that, no matter who you are. You know, you just don't. Because nobody wants to fucking see that. You know. Well, I mean, some women probably did want to see that, but think about the people that didn't. That would be subjected to that, and they just want to came to listen to, hello, I love you, not show me your junk. What kind of shit you got in your trunk, baby? Show me that junk. Show me what you're working with. Ow! So, crackers and peanut butter. And honey. Damn good. Damn good. So, UNEA, 22 is my lucky number. I've always loved 22. It's always. The multiples of it, 11, 2 plus 2 is 4. I always look at that as a good sign. So, Revelation has 22 chapters. You got my interest. You got my interest. What's going on? Okay. I can actually see how that would turn out and why they would say that, because someone 5,000 years ago wouldn't understand what they were looking at. But that's a insert modern convenience. There are a lot of people that say, like, why didn't God say, why didn't each of it? All the things you know, you don't. Someone told you it's true. Crust mantle core that we've never dug beyond 5 miles deep. Give me a fucking break. Talk about looking at a book and just trusting what someone fucking says. No, they've done scans. Oh, have they done scans? Can I see them? No, just check your word for it. Fuck you. I don't know. I know there's dirt. Beyond that, I don't know. You guys have dug about 5 miles down? Yeah. And that's as far as you've gone? Yeah. When you get past that, let me know what you find. Well, there's magma. Yeah, there is magma. What you're saying makes sense. I'm not saying that it doesn't make sense. I'm not saying I'm not going to file it away. But while I'm wandering around thinking of shit, I might think of my own answer also. That's what you did. Right? Who taught Newton? I wish a lot of people would just shut the fuck up. They just talk so fucking much and they don't know shit. Einstein. Half of ingenuity is, or majority of ingenuity is hiding your influences. So I looked at his influences. I'm like, well, yeah, how could you not come to that fucking exact conclusion? Look at his influences. Look at the 3 main influences he have, and then look right in the middle of the 3. Go look. How could you not come to that with those people that he has? I mean, How could Kurt not come to some great shit with Beatles and, the catchiness of their pop stuff, you know what I mean, with their orchestration and shit and their wording. Cuckoo, choo. They don't give a fuck. And he came to the conclusion that I did. If these guys that I respect and like a whole lot don't give a fuck, then why the fuck should I? They're not hurting anybody. They just don't give a fuck. I'm down with that. I'm down with, oh fuck, I'm so down with don't give a fuck. Just fuck you guys. My whole thing, like I said, looks like I'm doing it. I might start a playlist. And as it starts getting warmer downtown, I'm just going to go find places where you're clearly not supposed to smoke pot. But it's legal to smoke up here. Like I said, it can't just be like, willy nilly. It's not an active like right in people's face. It's a matter of it's a beach setting. People are allowed to vape here. Person way down there has a cigarette. Looks like I'm doing it. You gotta have enough time that no one can fucking bother you. You know? You shouldn't be bothering anybody. You should definitely be no one there to complain. No one. They should have a good view. You know? So I got these whole rules and things of what I'm gonna do with, like go on a rooftop sometime. I don't know. I ain't got shit to do, dude. I do what I want to do. I'm a skater, so I'm not afraid of like, oh no, did the sign say I'm not supposed to go here? Hey sign, are you gonna stop me if I go by you? Sign? No, the sign's not gonna stop me at all. No? Alarm? Just don't trip any alarms, man. Don't hit any. They have a sign that says alarm will sound. Just don't hit those. And then go where you want to go. And act like you belong. What's going on, man? Where the... Looking for 302. You know what I mean? Keep attention of your surrounding, where you're, what floor you're on, and, Yeah, man, that's right down there. Thanks, dude. It's a long thing, dude. Do you really want to? No. No, you don't. You don't really want to get into that stuff, man. Yeah. Looks like I'm doing it. That's only if you pass anybody on the way, If you don't pass anybody on the way, you just sit there. Looks like I'm doing it. So, Robber and the Thief, Underwood's, Shinamazine, was a very no flaw type, young author type character. And I used him in The Robber and the Thief to reference some stuff, because they're both half elves. The main characters of both those are half elves. And so, half elves lived to be about 200 years, elves lived to be about 400 years, dwarves lived to be about 150, 175, and humans lived to be about 80 on average. Half elves live about 200 years, as I said, and it's forbidden at the time in the first era to crossbreed, because there's a big war going on between the elves and the humans. But Sheena's dad, Theron, met Sheena's mom, and she was killed early on, and he had to raise Sheena by himself in the Underwoods. Not in the Underwoods, sorry, in Vaja. I was going to pull it up, but I guess it's in Vaja, the main elf city in Ruslan. There's another elf city in Creed. Yeah, I'm trying not to give too much of the story away, Shuna was such a just a larger than life character that I went ahead and used that the same way that We do with Martin Luther King, Gandhi. Everybody's, great. We ignore. We need them to be better. We need them to be above adultery. We need them to be more than what they are. And in the end, you're celebrating someone that they aren't even, they never were. It's got bits of it, but you just gloss over the ugly parts. But that's not the truth. And so that's what I did with Shuna, is that he actually, for the Underwoods, when I went to write it this time, I used the same story, but I just kind of, I decided to write it in 3 parts. And the first part is where he's his own journals of what's going on when he becomes king of the Underwoods, after it's been a while, and this is fairly well established. A truth seer named Zedril comes and sees like this place is, is a huge disaster at the end of the first era, and they don't have any real need of money. Shuna is an arms dealer because the wood that they banished him to is hard to take down. It's impossible. You can't burn it. Nothing can hack it. And then he remembers the dwarvish legend of this king, Talbot, that he had an unbreakable axe. Toulbourd, Talbot. He had an unbreakable axe. And his dad's like, that's just a legend, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, well, I mean, because he's like, he turned 18 when they get exiled. And I kind of got a slap in the face. They like, you can't stay here, but you can have the Underwoods. Because it is theirs. But it's like, you can't do nothing with it. It's going to like go there and fucking die for all we care. You know what I mean? And he's like, I had a feeling you'd do this. So, and he's like, you don't know. He's like, oh, no. As soon as you exiled me and put me there, you made me king. You'll address me as a king. I won't address you as anything else. I'll address you improper, but you will address me as king. King of the Underwoods. And he goes through and tells him that he's like, you'll regret this. You'll come to regret this. And I will be there when you die. And of course, elves live way longer. He's like, dude, you're half elf. There's no way. And he's like, I will be there when you die. So he lives an extra 150 years out of spite. Learning like healing spells and shit like that to keep himself alive. Just to walk in on his deathbed. Told you I'd be here. So the big worry was that being a half elf, that a half human would have rights to some of Vaja, possibly because Theron was on the Elder Council, and they didn't want humans coming in. He's like, dude, I've never known anything besides elves. There's no way I'd ever turn on you guys. You know what I mean? That's all. I get that I'm half, and I get that I don't look exactly like you. I get all that. But this is all I've ever known. And they make their own case about different shit and exile. I had a feeling you'd do that, so no. You address me as king. You'll address me as king. And I'll be here when you die. And you guys are always welcome to come. But there will never be any war. As long as you don't bring war to my door, there will never be war between the Underwoods and you guys. I don't hold any ill will. And of course the wood that they have to chop out to make the homes and stuff and whatever. Super tense. Becomes very valuable weaponry. He becomes an arms dealer, selling to whoever will buy. He becomes very, 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 very rich. But with the destruction of Argus, and Argus was one of the, when it was crossing the Resen River, before it became the Tamed Maw, that's the biggest buyer from the Underwoods. And they really didn't have any use for money. It was more just to fucking punish everybody. And so when they needed the money, he wanted to dump it out on Argus. But he didn't want to even want to make sure to give it to the clerics, because they make sure to get it right, to the right people. He didn't want to give it to the mages. He didn't want to give it to the fighters. He didn't want to give it to what he wanted to give it to some people that would use it to make sure that everybody got food and everything they needed. Because this huge amount of cash comes in to the clerics, and they send an envoy immediately, like several truth seers, to see like what's your motivation, what's your game. You're a half elf. You don't really, and we know you. I mean, you sell weapons here, but we also know you hate it. So why are you doing this? You're one of my biggest buyers. You guys had there's a big Crystarian fucked this up bad. That's why they had stopped enchanting weapons. That's why they disallowed people to do more than one school. I mean, they basically it's almost like a form of science, magic in UNEA. They it's like hacking reality. Certain weird common Norse Makan, reverse words, whatever it is that does, you know what I mean? You might be able to bring in the light of a fire without the fire. You may be able to conjure the actual element that controls fire, like one of the, you know what I mean? Fire is actually a living element, if you will. Every fire is connected to it, and you can maybe able to conjure that thing. Can you control it? How strong are you? Do you want to find out? Or you might be able to just make your hand, catch fire, push fire, heal, different things like that. And the Northic look at magic as, no, aside from like things like healing, benevolent things, light and healing and things like that, then they're fine. So they don't mind clerics, but they do not like wizards. They don't like mages at all. And they don't like thieves either. The Drala Valley, they don't really like mages, but they do like thieves. Because, they're not scungy. Basically, the Resen Isles, there was a pirate community, and these are people that would live with the pirates, and they were, whatever, but they just really didn't like being at sea, So they just, when they came to land in Argus, when Argus got, yeah, so everybody came to try and take a piece of Argus when whatever. Then by that time, thieves had already run it, but they were running it from the shadows. They were controlling the finances. They were pulling the purse strings. You know what I mean? And if whoever was in charge, didn't matter. Your success or failure completely hinged on whether or not you had a good relationship with the Thieves Guild. We can make you success. We can make everybody hate you. And no one knows us. No one will know it's us. We'll change the price of gold. We'll put a run on gold. We'll drop the value of all your shit. We'll steal all the gold and raise the value of all the fucking, How do you want to play it? What do you want to do today? What are we doing today? But they were running shit, and then with the disaster, all they could do was afford to pay off anybody who could help rebuild. And the fighters agreed for a share of the decision making. Mages agreed to also help out with what they could for again another they designed the new city, because they're, the thinking scholarly type. The fighters agreed to that, but there couldn't be anything at all in the design that they didn't understand or couldn't control. They didn't want anything that could control Argus that they couldn't understand. And which was a smart move, but it cost them the sewage system, keeping it completely clean and preventing any flooding. But they said that's fine. They didn't really care, because the way it was supposed to come in, there's like this device that was supposed to reverse gravity and lead through a spillway. And so that way, if it was going to flood, it would flood. It would flow to the spillway, and that way it would channel it out to another place, so they would never ever flood. Instead, they decided to chisel away at the entryway, so when it does rise up and flood, it just goes in there and washes it out. It takes a lot longer. You got to wait for a flood for the sewer. I mean, the sewers are down below, but it's kind of like you could have cleaner sewers. It's way down there, by the docks and shit. We don't ever even go down there. When it floods, it'll wash it out. If we use this device, man, we could always have just clean. Nope. So they call it the table of anonymous decisions. So that way, the head of each guild, there are 5 guilds. There's the Thieves Guild, the Mage Guild, the Fighters Guild, Clerics Guild, and Smith Guild. So that covers like the main 5 guilds in almost all towns that you'll find in most towns. So a lot of them don't like mages, so you find sometimes 4, and some of them don't like these, so sometimes you find 3. But yeah, it was really cool because in the Keep Christerian, it gets to the point where that mark right there, that M, that crossing the 777, you see it? It's like 3 sevens. Okay, so that's like in UNEA, in the Zero era, the people that were working didn't have that at all in either hand. They didn't have such fine tactility, so they just needed to hold tools and stuff, so they just didn't really have any, they didn't have that. They had lines, but it didn't cross. Then around the first era, there's a lot more mobility and dexterity and whatever, and everyone in the right hand has one, but in the left hand may not have one, and so you'd be a 1. Anyone still, I mean, there's still zeros that were walking around. They're basically like NPCs. The 1s would be like high level NPCs, high functioning, high processing, but still not quite. And then 2s, usually clerics and truth seers. Both hands. So it's not until after the events of the Robber and the Thief that UNEA becomes aware of the this one of the thieves have known for a while, and the clerics, because they know about truth seers, but they don't want to make anybody feel bad, and thieves just look at it as an upper hand. They notice it whenever they're taking like a rube. Easy. There's never a mark. When someone's always kind of like, fairly easy to take, it's a 1. They have to do a little bit more work. When it's 2, it's like you're not pulling nothing past them. So they notice it, but they don't say anything because they don't want to lose the upper advantage. And the clerics know, but they don't want to make the people that are 1s or 0s feel bad. So they kind of keep it a little bit secret. But eventually it gets out. They don't know for sure that's what it means, but they're pretty sure, and sometimes depending on which hand you're more dexterous with is which one has the mark. So if you're right-handed, it'd be in your right hand, but if you're left-handed, it'd be in your left hand. which causes an interesting thing for what I'm about to tell you, because like it's considered that if you had two, you're smarter and you're more intelligent and you see more. You see better. The darker the lines, the thinner the lines, and they have a rule of no cross, no count. So if it does not X in the middle, or if it does when it goes to the up one, if it goes up here, if they just trail by beside each other, like on this one, and just go off together, but don't cross, they have to actually come up and touch. They have to cross right there and actually cross right there in that center. Otherwise, you know what I mean? No cross, no count is the rule. And so when they're arguing with somebody, like, on the same subject, instead of getting to like a big heated argument, if it's not going anywhere, you're trying to talk to someone and talk some sense into them eventually, like especially if you're a two. Well, mainly if you're a two. It's actually seen as bad manners for, you know what I mean? But if you're a two and you're like, okay, challenge. And you drop the hand, because everybody's got one on the right hand, so you drop that. Bam. I've got two. You got two? No, then shut up, please. Okay, yeah. I didn't know you were two, man. I'm sorry. I would have agreed a long time ago. But if you call a one, if you're a one and you call them out, you're basically saying you think they're zero. That'll get your ass kicked real quick. You know what I mean? It's one thing to think that you got the right idea. It's another thing that like we're on the same level and you're trying to tell me I'm a zero. Here in this den of thieves, you're trying to tell me I'm a fucking zero. And there's people that believe that there are two because they have a no cross, no count. But they don't necessarily know that necessarily. Like I said, like the one that comes up and they travel side by side. Drop the right one, drop the left one, like bam. Like what the fuck is that? It's my other one. Like, dude, that's not no cross, no count. You get a third party witness, a third witness to come by and verify if it's a cross or if it's not a cross. If it's not a cross, sorry guy, no cross, no count. I know, your parents lied. Sorry. Sorry. Doesn't count, doesn't cross, doesn't count. But I was telling my uncle that because he's into D&D and stuff, and we've played, board games and shit, and we went to family vacation 2020 in UP. We played a lot of stuff. We had the nerd herd. It was like four of us, and I would always like before we go, because we'd go back to the place that I was staying at, because they had like a basement area. There's like had a bar and shit for whatever, and it was pretty cool. Before we're leaving, like when we were doing, because like we'd be at the beach or whatever, and there's like a motel that some people were staying at, and that was right across from the beach. And there's another house because we had so many people, and so we're getting ready to head out, and I'm nerd herd assemble. Nerd herd assemble. Anthony. Oh yeah, man. But we played like a bunch of stuff. There were a bunch of games, not just D&D style stuff. There was one like a time thing, whatever. I thought about it. It'd be a perfect fucking game to put into PC or Xbox, because it's one of those ones it's a modular game, so it's the same setup, same pieces and stuff. You just change the different cards and stuff and the different stories. So you get the game for free and maybe like 2-3 modules, and then just sell the modules and just keep making new modules, different stuff. Have them under different categories and whatever. So that way you don't have to set the cards out and change. Okay, this time. They'll tell you before the game starts. or it'll show you like because they all, I mean, like there's like red tokens and then there's green, whatever, and then and so like they'll be down at the bottom. They can just say what they are and what they're worth right down there in about the same place every time. This one's now health. This one's now blah blah blah. This one's now da da da. And so that way, like I said, it just changes. Plus, there's also you're supposed to read the card. You're not supposed to read it word for word. You're supposed to read it in your own words. Um, but there's like this thing from the future that sometimes like because you're time traveling and it'll click in and it's got the you know what I mean. So you're supposed to how cool would that be that it actually comes in. We're in, and it's actually talking to you, like whatever. If you did it right, you could have it like with the headphones, so it could tell you, like you still had to describe everything, but it could just talk like, player one had headphones on, and player two has, player two, and so you can just hear the computer, they can talk to you. You have to describe what I'm telling you right now. Blah 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 blah. Don't use my exact words. And if it had a microphone, it could be like, I said, don't use my exact words. AI, I said, don't use my exact words. Do it again and you'll lose. The mission will fail. Listen closely. Describe it in your own words. There you go. That's better. Because they're not supposed to be able to see what you can see. You're supposed to be able to be in contact with them. Unless you travel together. When you travel together, you can see the same stuff and talk, but that way it keeps you separate. It's dope, man. It was a dope game. There was another, like, a murder thing. It was really cool. It was really, really cool. And I never got to, like I said, I never got to play that stuff, so I didn't get to play D&D, but, I was finalizing some ideas for Robber and the Thief. I think that finished in 2021. Yeah, I think it was in 2021 I finished that one. And I was working. I went ahead and wrote the outlines for the next three ones. And I wrote 128,000 words of 180,000 for Keep Christerian. And then I wrote 45,000 of 90,000 for the Underwoods. And I wrote 15,000 of 45,000 for the last one, which is It Came and Went. Like the continent went, W-Y-N-T-E. It came and went. Check out Robert and Thief, you'll understand exactly why. Yeah, but the exactly why. You know why, but you don't know exactly why. Do you? And that's why It Came and Went tells the story of what exactly happened. But I had to do them all at the same time. I was writing them all three to get to the outline. I had to do them all three at the same time so there'd be no plot holes. I couldn't have any plot holes in there. If I wrote one and just wait for Robber and Thief and then do the next one, then there's possibly plot holes. I just finished the Robber and Thief. So I just wrote up an outline, and for the Keep Christerian, the things that make that one special, I did that too. I saved that one. It's dope. Oh, that one. I have an order that I want to release it in for a reason, and that is that The Robber and the Thief I feel is a good introductory to UNEA, the world that I'm the universe thing that I'm creating. The Underwoods is I feel is a good second book because it's a bit letting down. It's the whole reason for the Underwoods when I wrote it was when I was writing it this time was, again, like I said, it starts out he's telling his journals he's just a regular dude. Then when Zedril tells it, he's telling with a bit more respect because he's like right there with him. He understands what kind of person he is, and he leaves out some of the dirtier details. He hints at a few of them, but he doesn't. And then by the last part, it's just basically the cold stony slab in Argus, talking about what a great guy he was, how he forewent all his profits and stuff to do. And it's like, it's not exactly that cut and dry. I mean, yeah, he forewent his profits because just selling a bit more back to you guys would get him back on the track to being fucking ridiculously wealthy. It costs a fuck ton for this material. So yeah, I'm saving you, but you're my best customers. I feel bad for you, but not that bad. I mean, if you weren't my customer, if you weren't selling, if you weren't buying so much, I definitely wouldn't do this. Especially the way you guys treat me. I hate Argus. I really hate it. But you guys buy a lot of shit. So giving you, if emptying my coffers gives you enough money to just refill my coffers, I'm only using that as a, I mean, we don't even use it out here. We farm. We hunt. The fuck would we need money for? Yeah, I wanted just to get it away from you, you fucking assholes. You want it so bad, and here I don't have any fucking desire for it all, and I've got a whole fuck ton of it. Just to shit on you. He lived 150 years out of spite. But I thought it'd be pretty cool to tell that story because it shows like how, I mean, it'd probably be like a bit letting down after the robber and the thief, especially if you like the robber and the thief, it'd feel a bit let down. Then if you actually look at it like, oh, it's kind of like life. How we actually did. We ignore the fact that, I don't know for sure, I wasn't there, but Martin Luther King may have had affairs. That Gandhi was having like, I mean, he supposedly let his wife die from a disease because we don't take that modern medicine shit. And then when he comes down with the same disease after she's dead, well, suddenly we do take that medicine. This would be the change. If it's true about the, even if it's just napping with young girls, that's still, no. No, man. Especially after you let your wife die like that, no. No, we just do that. We just, we need Kurt to be bigger than life. We need that. He doesn't need that. We need him to be like, have wings. Cast, the most recent Batman. Kurt is Batman. Get the fuck out of here. You obviously weren't paying attention. Kurt would be the Joker. He tore the entire fucking music industry down with 6 strings, a set of drums, and a bass player. Nirvana fucking changed all that shit, man. Everything. They changed how marketing works. They changed how music was being, There hasn't been anything like that since. It's kind of like the Beatles. There haven't been anything, you know what I mean? It just hasn't been, it's just a total different thing. A huge gear shift. It's kind of like with modern comedy. It's not so much just punchline like it was in the 80s, observation after observation after whatever, and then tie it up at the end with, whatever. It's more like this, like, a bit of a heartfelt story. Then a sudden pivot, and and everyone's really cracking, like, yeah, that's true. But this way, they want to get to know you as a person, kind of, and that's where, but you be a comedian, you have to be a good storyteller. And so, it's, to make them feel more, the audience feel more like you're connected to whatever story you're telling, something they can relate to. And that's how I felt when, when you throw in some whatever you might have been talking about earlier, and like, right, right, yeah. Yeah, the disappointment you feel right now, that's how I felt. That is pretty funny. You know what I mean? That kind of shit. That seems to be where it's kind of going with, and that's. I mean, I dig it. You know, I like things being new and changing up, and if nothing else, weirdness is fucking beautiful, man. Weirdness is fucking great. That's how I used to tell, like in the before Nirvana broke and shit like that. If I was walking down the street and I saw somebody that had like blue hair, well, you bet your ass I'm gonna talk to them because that's the person we're talking to. Because there was nothing to gain in it at that point in time. It was just ridicule. What's up, man? Not a lot. Like you're bored. Thanks, man. You know, I mean, you start talking about shit. You in bed? Yeah. You in bed? Yeah. You guys want to jam? Yeah. 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 Oh, you just dye your hair that color. Okay, got you. Yeah. With the lights out. Huh? No, I didn't say anything. Contagious, man. Way to nail it. Way to nail it. I'm your lotto. And a Vito. A mosquito. Yeah. So, yeah, there's a lot of. I think we did a trip to UNEA before, but just to give like a little bit of live. Yeah, 'cause I did a short trip to UNEA. I just want to give like a little bit of example of the audio and the thing because I did some voice acting and stuff in it too. Um, Moi above. Truly just for you. Very bad, no good day. As before that, we took a trip to UNEA. Tuck it, dog. Tuck it. Tuck it. Tuck it. Tuck it. I'm in there. I'm in there, dog. I'm tuck it. I did. I tuck. Tuck it. Tuck it. Tuck it. Tuck it, dog. I'm tucked. I'm in there. I'm in there.
You're insane, he snickered. I just continued staring with hand extended. Give it or I take it, I said, remembering her overconfidence and willingness to walk at the first sniff of something being wrong. She seemed less rude now. Still don't know why that is. The hire handed it over only beneath the table, and I slowly unrolled it on my lap. It wasn't the map I expected. This was made not of parchment, but of soft cloth, woven. This took time. It was definitely genuine and old. Carefully re-rolled it, tied the ribbon back around it, and tossed it back to him, unconcerned with their side plan. Here's how it's going to work. You are the hire. I will behave as such and not shame you in front of your other hirelings. You can't pay my fee now, but I will contract myself to you anyways. And how much is your fee? Hissed the mage, who was unnerving me more every second. Half. Not of whatever you send me in the fighter after, but whatever you have going with this, I said, right arm tortuously bent up and pointing directly in its face. When we're done, we ditch the fighter. I'll think of something if she doesn't excuse herself.
And
Hey.
it starts to, like I said, it follows the story. After it gets, like, I mean, it falls to where it's going, and then kind of just like when I meander around, what I'm talking about, what I'm saying, it kind of floats around and shows you the map a bit, and if I refer to anything, any place else in the map, and then it shows that place so that you know exactly where, you know, boom, keeps it going. I like it. I dig it. It was very fun to do. It was fun to write. I learned a shit ton about myself. just writing that book. But it was really cool because I had recently read. I don't read a whole lot. I don't like to read. It's boring. I always can tell where it's going. Always. It sucks. Sometimes by the name of the book, I can tell exactly what it's about. Just have always been like that. So, um, it was just I read Mark Lanigan Sing Backwards and Weep. Lanigan hadn't died at that point, I don't think. No, I don't think he had died. No, I don't think he had. 2021. No, it was before that. So yeah, he hadn't died yet because he died in 2022. So I hadn't finished my book. But having read that, because he was just like brutally honest, like unflinchingly honest about his heroin use, unless he was making some shit up. I mean, I don't know, maybe. Um, but it just made me like there are a couple of things I was gonna like kind of hold back on rather than just go ahead and full throttle, you know. And I was like, no, let's go ahead and open her up. And once I did that, because I like his book is so much more fucked up. But it allowed me to allow the character, the main druggy character, to slip in and out of that. You know what I mean? So I probably wouldn't have been necessarily as forthcoming with a bunch of stuff. Um, it's all invented drugs there. The main one that they really get into is barium, named after the thief that discovered it. Um, it's a combination of two drugs, Mornsha, Mornsha, and Toom, Toom. It's an anesthetic and a hallucinogenic. So you smoke it, and it puts you into the place where you would go when you go under anesthesia, that black, except you're hallucinating. You're conscious enough to hallucinate, and you don't stay there long. You stay like 15 minutes, but your thought process. That's how fast you can be. How long you're there. How quickly you can orientate yourself. And I mean, like in a dream. You ever had a dream that feels like it's like long? Yeah, same thing. Then if you can make your thought process even faster, there's a morning drink called Garin, Gaerin. I was I still do. I make my own infused pot oil for cooking. Ow. And after doing that, you infuse the oil and you pour the oil out and stuff, and then there's always like this leftover herb, and it's covered in oil. It's been infused over like 6-7 hours, and so I just fold them and save them and put them in the freezer, and because it's still got, if nothing else, it's got oil on it. If not, whatever. So what I'll do is I'll make tea, and then put them in there, and let it just rinse off the oil, and also soak in the for like 5-10 minutes at the herb that's in the little strainer thing, and then I take that out and wring it really good, and it usually leaves like this sheen on the top. There's like this little oil film on the top, but I usually use Earl Grey and some creamer. So it's got this really like smoky kind of weird kind of look to it, and it's got this little layer of film on the top. So I made that basically when the Drala Valley is kind of like where Garin leaves are the most plentiful, and they're the strongest and the best. It's not necessarily known at the time, but I mean, he goes there, and the main character goes there and finds, in his opinion, it's the best. And he is a druggie, and he thinks it's the best, and so everybody starts going there eventually. And by the time of Key Crysterian, Garen is no longer made just from the Garen leaves. It's actually kind of like the way I was making mine, because there's so much demand for Garen for other places and for other drugs that are made from Garen. Uriel, Ural. Those are two that are made from Garen. And so yeah, this was just a lot of stuff. Here's a mushroom that they like in Morrington. What's it called? Infidel counts. And it's like a very pale, pearlescent mushroom with black iridescent spores on the bottom. And yeah, there's it starts out with these little hooligans living in the country, and they slowly make their way to Argus, and all that's what they get into after that. Just check it out for more information. It's free. No, as far as I know, there's no commercials or paywall. I don't know. If there is, someone please tell me, because if you ever check it out and there's like commercials, I want to know, because I didn't put commercials in. I don't want commercials in there. It is like 10 hours total, but I'll put up somewhere else of it if it is, if necessary. I'll put like the Dropbox or something. I'll find a way to get it. Well, there's a will. Oh yeah. I'll figure out. I'll compress it, whatever I have to do, because that originally, the actual original picture of the map that I used was huge, because I made like a 4,000 by 4,000 picture. I didn't scale it down before I made it into the video, and so like the file size was just freaking huge, because each frame, had a 4,000 by 4,000. And so I had to like take it down like way down. The quality is about the same. It's just the file size is much less, and you can see some, when it zooms in, you can see some blurs and stuff. But from a distance, it looks. Other than that, it looks exactly the same. It's pretty cool. But yeah, I love it, because I can just think of stuff, and then I started. If you go to like UNEA's Facebook, it's always been meant to be, like I said, a multi thing. I don't want it to be just, you know what I mean. Instead of having to do like fan fiction based around Lord of the Rings or whatever, if you have some idea for whatever, you can more than likely fit it into UNEA without having to do much adjustment, because there are people have like different cults and stuff, so there is some kind of god of some sort in your deal, as long as you don't trying to have it like usurp anything of mine, because mine still worships him. Go for it. You got a cult that believes in, this one group, sure. Let's hear your story, man. I want to hear it. Where do you guys go? There's some spots on there, but there's lots of blank spots. And he's talking about earlier, like when he's talking about Morrington, he's like, there are literally like hundreds of these fucking towns around, man. If you're not from there, you don't know it. You don't know what it is. So people probably don't even know where Morrington is, because it's like, this is just a nothing. It's a little hick-ass town based on a pond that feeds into a river, a stream that goes to a river that bleeds into the almost maw, because it didn't get 4. He got 3 before he stopped. Crystarian. So yeah. There's so much stuff, man. There's a ton of stuff, and I learned how. I did like a lot of research about writing. I learned a lot about writing, not necessarily about like creating intention, stuff like that, but like word counts and average word, how much people usually type per day and stuff like that, and where I fall in that. So, man, Michael Crichton, I think he knocks out like 10,000 words a day, and that's where I learned the saying, "The secret to writing is rewriting." It really is. But yeah, just consider like just layers and layers and layers and layers. Just keep going over it until it looks right. Keep rewriting it. Rewrite it. Okay. Now that I know, will this ruin anything later on? Does this ruin the surprise? Does it give anything away? Are there any plot holes? Okay, where'd that bag come from then? Fuck, you're right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He handed him a bag, but where'd the bag come from? Yeah, yeah. Hey, man. You want this to be right, right? Yeah. Keep reading, keep writing it. I won't read it again. Then why would anybody else want to read it the first time? Yeah, let's rewrite this thing. No, I love going. I mean, sometimes on the weekend I'll just sit there and listen to the book because just put it on the TV on a 65-inch TV and just sit back and watch it, dude. Listen to me tell the story. I know it's coming, but it's still like, oh yeah, oh yeah. I wrote this, man. This is pretty cool. This didn't exist before. God gave me the story to write. That's pretty cool. The song didn't exist until God gave me, the ability to play. That's pretty cool. Didn't have to be great. Didn't have to be great. It just has to make me smile. That's all it has to be. It doesn't have to make money. It just has to make me smile. I'm good. So, yeah, man. But UNEA is after the third era. The third era starts, like I said, about like a medieval type of phase, in the existence of the citizens of UNEA. Um, Dragons are removed. Most of the wizardry has been lost. Um, the continents may not be all together anymore. I really don't know where it's going to go from there, but I do know that there's going to be a third era, and it's going to be mostly. I mean, after that, it's going to start out mostly humans. By the time it's done, it's going to be all human, and like a medieval type world. Um, Magic is forgotten, but not necessarily lost. Then time keeps going, and through eras, much that mirror Earth's evolution. There's a Victorian era, any type era. I mean, there's all the different type of eras that we went through here. They go through there, but like where Tesla lost to Edison, Edison will lose to Tesla in my world. He actually lights the whole world up. You know what I mean? So it's just dream. Let's see what would happen if corporate greed didn't take over. You know, if electricity was just free. Not only that, but as long as you had an adapter, like this TV, I could leave it on while picking up and moving it because it doesn't have a cord anywhere. Wireless speakers, just wire. He was working all night. He's working on wireless energy, wireless speakers. We're just now getting there. He already had it down, but because there was so much money in the wiring, the copper wire. In mine, the guy that'll be J.P. Morgan, whatever. Instead, I'll go, wait. He's just about to say, like, no fucking way, dude. Oh, wait, I can just, right now, it's still valuable. People don't know what you're working on. I'll just say I got a little bit over my head. I need to sell off this railroad. I need to sell off this copper mine. and slowly but surely kind of liquidate everything, and everybody starts thinking like I'm going under. I'm not going under. Everybody who's still invested in that shit's going under. Because wire is not going to be necessary here in fucking 5 years. So I have 5 years to get rid of my shit. Okay. And then I'll be the only, if I invest in this guy, I'll be the only, and they have like a little bit of a squabble. It's like, you got to, I mean, I don't want to give it free. And he's like, dude, I have to make some money. And you know how much money I put into this? He's like, yeah, but this is, right, but we've got to be able to meet in the middle somewhere. Yeah. We'll put a meter on the, you know what I mean, at the house, so we can see how much you're using. We won't necessarily charge, you know, maybe because we don't have any wires to repair or anything like that. We'll just charge enough that, you know, what if we have to repair the box? What if we have to repair anything? Like, yeah, that's true. What if we have to repair the Wardenclyffe Tower? Or when the technology gets better, Wardenclyffe 2. Yeah, that's true. You think they're just going to, will, you know, no. They're going to say, hey, what happened to the power? And they come after your head. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I mean, I sold my shit, so it would, you know what I mean? And I backed you so that we can make a fortune. I'm willing to forego some of it because I can see what you're saying. It will end war as we know it because there won't be any power struggles anymore. We can get into competition rather than war, rather than fights. So I'll forego some of the money, but not all of it. I'm surely not coming out of pocket to fix this thing, you know. There's altruistic and there's a fucking sucker. You know what I mean? God damn, I love guitar, man. Just even touching it just makes me feel better. The color of it and everything, it's exactly set up how I wanted. Oh. It's a long run, isn't it? Like Victor Wooten said, what's out of tune? What do you mean out of tune? Depending on what mode or scale I'm playing in, everything's in tune. Just got to get used to it. Yeah. What's out of tune? No such thing. Just got to bend the note enough. See the cycle I've waited for. It ain't like that anymore. So, man, So much stuff in my head. So many ideas, so many fixes for the problems of this fucking place. I've been thinking about it for the last 30 fucking years, man. Are they complete? Probably not. But having an outline is better than having concepts of a plan. This is an actual plan. That won't work. Why? Well, the financial. Okay, well, then what can we do to get it? Don't be so pissy about it. Tell me what's wrong with it and how do we fix it. Okay, if we could fix that, would it work? Well, yeah. But, oh, okay, yeah. Okay, what else won't work? The other things, the water plant won't work. Okay, what's going on? What does it need to fix there? And if we fix that, would it work? Yeah, it would if we fix that. Okay, cool. I don't know everything. I'm not Donald Trump. Remember, he knows everything. He's the best at everything. He's the greatest. He's the best that's ever been. He's the best around. No one's ever going to take him down. Isn't that right? The best. Oh, he's just so awesome. In my world, we use Trumps for punching bags. In UNEA, those type of people are specifically made to fuck things up, to make the story interesting, and that no one will give a shit when the hero shows up and kicks the fuck out of the evil king. No one will care. Anyone who does is welcome to join the evil king. Yeah, he got away with a lot of stuff, but that's just kind of like how the evil king does. Like, Prince John and Robin Hood, raising the taxes on people, and the crippling the poor and shaking down the elderly. And when they make fun of Prince John, then he goes and sucks his thumb and he fucking cries and he's like, "I want my mommy." Wow. This is Prince John. This isn't Trump. Trump doesn't do that. This is Prince John. Trump just gets a fucked up haircut when Elon fucks him. So that's what he does, and then he combs it like he means the fucking stupid fucking fat Marge fuck. Fuck you, Donald Trump. Fuck you. You have no authority over me. None. It's the only person I answer to. Should anything I've said offended you? Because that dude's the most thin-skinned piece of shit. Onions don't have skin that thin. And they use those to roll joints. God damn, what a titty bitch. For a manly man, he's the most bitchy bitch that's ever been. Just complaining all the fucking time, whining about life's not fair. I'm just a billionaire. If you were a billionaire, what the fuck, dude? I don't hear Bill Gates complaining about his life. I don't hear fucking Warren Buffett. I don't hear Bezos. The only one that's supposedly got all this fucking money and still that miserable of a son of a bitch. Elon Musk, the false fucking prophet, and Donald Trump, the goddamn Antichrist. Congratulations, Trump voters. You voted the Antichrist. You fulfilled Bible prophecy. Well done. You did what you were told to do, and you did it. You did it. I think the lead in the water has got you. You guys on tap water? Yeah, I've been on tap water in over 20 years. Fuck that. No. No. When they found out about Flint, I'm like, well, first off, that's not the only place this is happening. There's no way that's the only place this is happening. And two, thank God I don't drink tap water any fucking more. Probably why my brain function isn't all fucked up and slow. Where I'd vote for someone like a fucking con artist like Donald fucking Trump. Trump steaks, Trump vodka, Trump airlines. Are any of they still in business? What about Trump USA? You think that's gonna make it? He couldn't make Trump fucking casinos work. He couldn't make Trump casinos work. He couldn't make Trump University work without getting sued. And you think this guy's qualified to run a goddamn snack shop? Much less a fucking country? Joke. Joke. The whole thing is a fucking Hegseth. See why I've created a whole nother place? A whole other place. You know what? Trump's kryptonite would be to have everything he has, everything he's ever wanted. Because he can't produce shit. He's an ugly, old fuck. That, from all looks, wears a diaper and shits himself. And he probably pisses himself too. What a pleasant smell, ladies. Old and shit and piss. Has anyone seen him raise his hand beyond, like right around here, around where's this? This. I haven't seen pictures like that at all. Hey everybody, how's it going? Hello, hello, hello. And big Sharpie pen. Like he had a stroke. The fuck is that? And I watched him going down that fucking ramp. Those last 3 steps. Like he's actually, like he's Obama. Last 2 steps. Okay, hop. I'm young. I'm orange. I'm yellow. God damn, boy. Did you get into glue or something? Propane? What'd you get into, man? What'd you get into, man? What'd you get into, man? They found cocaine at the White House. Well, that's gotta be Joe Biden. It's gotta be Joe Biden, right? The I have sinus problems. I breathe out my mouth. I've done cocaine and I did that. Because so you want to do it. I done meth. I had to do that. Like I done coke once and I've done meth like I think about 7 times, but I just tell people 11 to make sure in case I forgot any of them. Pardon me. But there's a place where this kind of stuff happens, but unlike here, the wicked have to suffer for what they've done. They don't have to wait for the afterlife. There's a lot of things that don't happen there. Because I can make a world of my own. I can make it whatever I want it to be. Like I said, imagine what would chapter 23 of Revelation be, or it just ends there. I mean, that can't be the end. They all live happily ever after. There's got to be some stories there, right? Not devoid of God or anything like that. I mean, it's still got God involved, but I got a story. Can I tell it? I want to hear God's opinion about it. Like if he would like to change some things, and cause if you're looking to kill some time, man, I got a couple millennia we can kill. Oh yeah, this thing goes from like zero era all the way to the third millennium and beyond. Terraforming planets. UNEA. You'll see you there, man. Wouldn't that be cool?